I'll tell you the fight that I'm really looking forward to, because I don't know what's going to happen, is Khamzat versus Strickland. I'm very interested in that fight. Strickland is a fucking nightmare standing up.
For sure.
He's a nightmare.
For sure.
When he did a Fluffy Hernandez, I was like, holy shit, man.
The body shot, the finish, but he made Fluffy fight. You know, he fights at a slower pace. He has his own pace in there, and he kind of forces the other guy to fight. His opponent has to fight this pace with him. I think the best chance is to blitz him, do unorthodox things, because he wants to jab, circle, throw a kick, jab, circle. He keeps a very slow pace. He's not sprinting or trying to blast you out of there. He just chips away, high guard, good shell.
Yeah, very good shell. His defense is extraordinary. And man, that motherfucker doesn't get tired in there.
Right.
And the Fluffy fight was like, I thought Fluffy was going to be a problem. I'm like, Fluffy's really good, man. You think he submitted Adolfo Vieira. He's got all this fucking crazy cardio. He puts a pace on guys, and Strickland made it look like he just did not belong in there.
By the way, Khamzat, what do you think about Khamzat?
He's a great fighter.
Yeah.
He's a good fighter. Yeah.
Who do you think if him and Strickland fight, who do you think wins?
Oh, Khamzat.
I think Sean wins that.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I do. I want him to.
If Khamzat literally was taken down with ease and just bullying him, I mean, then it's hard to picture Sean just getting fucked up. Just we've seen him fight so many times, and no one really ever, even when you have close fights, never get his ass kicked. So I'm excited for that fight.
I think knocked out though.
Huh?
Did he get knocked out?
Nah.
By Pereira?
No, yeah, he did. Fucking left hook to the chin.
Marvov, I know Marvov beat Kyle Bohio, but when you look at it, Strickland's already beat Marvov. Yeah, it was a while ago, but a win's a win. And he just put a beat down and a stoppage on Fluffy, right? Marvov beat Kyle Bohio by decision. And we all know this sport's about what have you done for me lately. There is a backstory between Chimaev and Sean Strickland. They have trained with one another. There's a bit of shit talk. There's going to be bad blood. We know that the lead up to the fight will be goddamn insane, right? Chimaev doesn't hold back. He talks shit, but in a kind of reserved way, but like he truly believes in himself. And Sean Strickland is just going to go on the full offensive. We know that. He's going to be talking some crazy shit. Dana even joked about it on the little show that we did there. He said they're going to need extra security for that fight during the fight week, leading up to the fight, after the fight, in the fight. It's going to be a mad one because Sean Strickland doesn't hold back. And you know what? Even if you don't like the shit that he says, you have to appreciate the entertainment value that he brings to the table. And then on top of that, the performances inside the octagon. That one against Fluffy, that was a
And against Chimaev, we've seen him when he has faced adversity. And while he has been able to pass those tests, it still does seem to fatigue him and confuse him when he is in those situations because he's so used to being the hammer and not the nail. Again, I think that from a matchup standpoint, it's going to be really interesting to see, really, like I said, the first couple of minutes of this fight, to see if Chimaev is able to implement his game plan. Because if not, I think it's going to be a really interesting fight and a fight that Sean Strickland can win, despite the long odds.
Yeah, I mean, there's a possibility Khamzat just goes out there, takes him down, and dominates him, right? So we're going to see where he's at. But the other thing with Sean Strickland is he's a pretty big dude. We know Khamzat sort of, with cardio-wise, even with DDP towards the end, he was pretty tired. And Sean Strickland's cardio is through the roof, right? Like he's go. And he's going to, if you're standing with him, he's going to take up that octagon. He's going to push you back. He's so tiring to fight against when it comes to everybody in the division, right? It's just hard to fight him. So if it's really going to test Khamzat's cardio, if it's standing for a couple of rounds even, to see where he's at. I feel like it's going to...
The UFC just set up what might be the most unpredictable title eliminator of the year, and nobody can agree on how it ends. Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland is splitting the MMA world right down the middle, and I'm talking about legitimate experts who can't even come close to consensus. You've got former champions, top analysts, and veteran fighters looking at the exact same matchup and seeing completely different outcomes. Some are convinced this is going to be a wrestling clinic that ends ugly. Others think Strickland has the perfect style to turn this into an absolute war. And here's what's wild, both sides are making compelling arguments that actually make sense.
Okay, first title defense against Sean Strickland, has Sean Strickland ever fought a really, really strong wrestler?
I looked through his resume and he has not.
Not really fought a strong wrestler, but he's known for having really good grappling, really good takedown defense, but there's just different fucking levels of grappling, and Khamzat is at the highest level. Like, I mean, him and Islam are the two, they're just so dominant in that aspect. Sean Strickland has great cardio. He's gonna show up ready to go. The question is, can Hamzat keep the pace of? He kept the pace against DDP, but he was able to take him down early and literally hold him down the whole time. That is fatiguing. He was able to do that. But what's more fatiguing is taking someone down, they get up. Taking someone down, they get up. You took him off 3-4 times in a round. And, that's gonna start to wear on Hamzat if Sean can get up. And that's going to be the question mark there. I feel like Hamzat's going to be able to get a hold of him. He's going to be able to take him down. But is he going to be able to do that over and over and over? Is he going to be able to finish him?
Sean O'Malley jumped into this debate and dropped some serious knowledge about what he sees as the real battle here. Look, O'Malley knows grappling, and he's not dismissing Strickland's ground game. But he pointed out something crucial that most people are missing. Strickland has solid defensive wrestling, sure, but he's never faced someone who brings that relentless, suffocating pressure for 25 straight minutes. And here's where O'Malley gets really interesting. He questions whether Chimaev can maintain that insane pace for 5 full rounds, especially if Strickland keeps popping back up every single time he gets taken down. Because taking someone down once, that's manageable. But shooting for takedowns over and over while your opponent keeps standing back up, that's what breaks fighters and drains gas tanks completely.
But is he going to be able to do that over and over and over? Is he going to be able to finish him? I don't know. I think, what would be absolutely epic is if Hamzat took him down first round, second round, beat his ass a little bit, and then Sean Strickland kind of started stuffing the shots in the third, and then started piecing him up in the fourth, and Strickland got it done. It would be fucking sweet. But we just saw Charles versus Max. Charles dominated. I mean, it's weird when you think of Charles, you don't think of like super great wrestler. A lot of his takedowns kind of come from body locks and trips from the body lock, which is great wrestling. But Max had never really fought like a super high-level wrestler. Are we gonna see the same kind of thing play out where Hamzat takes him down and it's kind of the same fucking thing?
O'Malley painted this really specific scenario that honestly makes perfect sense when you think about it. He sees the early rounds going to Chimaev with control and damage, basically imposing his will and making Strickland deal with that wrestling-heavy attack. But then the later rounds potentially shifting if Strickland starts reading the shots better and defending takedowns with more success. That's where the whole fight could swing. Strickland could turn it into more of a striking battle once the pace slows down and Chimaev's output starts decreasing. And you know what? We've seen this exact pattern before. High-level grapplers come in hot, dominate early, then fade when they can't put guys away. O'Malley clearly leans toward Chimaev taking those first couple rounds, but here's the key. He's not sold on it being easy the whole way through.
He looked rejuvenated. He came out. He showed that power. He did all the things that we said, if Sean would only do this, and it's all the things that his coaches have been saying, if he would do this like he does in the gym, he's a world beater, and he looked like that. And there's history. He talked all the right shit about Chimaev, and it got him the fight. And I'm also happy to see that Chimaev ready to go, willing to take the fight.
Yep.
Things are in order. The middleweight division moving again, a contender versus the champ at the division. He's not moving up. There's no shenanigans.
Paul Felder saw something in Strickland's recent performance that caught everyone's attention. The version of Strickland that showed up in his last fight looked different, man. More aggressive, more willing to sit down on his shots and throw with real power behind them, not just that steady, constant jab style he's known for. But here's what I respect about Felder's take. He didn't ignore the wrestling problem or pretend it doesn't exist. He just looked at it like this is the right moment to test it. The timing makes sense. Strickland coming in with momentum and confidence, Chimaev staying active and hungry, division moving naturally without weird politics involved. It's just a fight that makes sense right now, and sometimes that's when the best fights happen.
It's a tough fight for Strickland, I'm not going to lie, but he is tough to take down. He's tough to hold down. He does have a ground game, and he's going to talk some shit. And I've heard there's a bunch of Chechens hunting Sean Strickland down in Las Vegas, and he's got to be careful. And I heard Sean like, hey, man, I've got guns. You can come to my house, man. Here's the thing, guys. If they come to my house, I got the guns.
I'm almost certain Strickland's going to have a gun with him wherever he is in Vegas.
Michael Bisping didn't sugarcoat anything when he broke this down. He straight up said it's a tough fight for Strickland, and you can tell he means that because of what Chimaev brings early and how explosive he can be in those opening moments. The way Bisping talked about it, he sees the biggest danger being those first rounds. If Chimaev gets Strickland down and settles into a dominant position, that's where things can spiral out of control fast. But here's the big difference in Bisping's analysis. He pointed out that Strickland is not easy to control once you get him down. He's constantly working to get back up. He knows how to survive on the ground without panicking, and he's got that grit and toughness that keeps him in fights even when things aren't going his way. That experience matters more than people realize.
To Imavov, look at his resume or whatever. And on every one, I responded, hey guys, who was his last loss though? Like, if your last loss is to a guy who's coming off of a performance like that against somebody who we all agreed was one fight away from the title in Fluffy Hernandez, you go out there and finish him like that, jump on the mic. How do you not? Especially for a company starving for an American champion.
He lost to Strickland in 2023, November, January, sorry. So 3 years ago.
I think
he's
I
on a
called that one.
5-fight win streak. And he beat Izzy. That was sensational. Second round knockout, right hand over the top. Against Borralho, impressive victory, but not as good as Sean going out there and beating the brakes and finishing Fluffy. And then on the microphone as well, the way that he acted, then with the backstory and the beef and the way that, these guys are going to shit talk it up. Sean Strickland's not going to back down. People talk about wanting to see rivalries and real characters. Well, my God, you have got it here, 100%. Yeah. But the big question is, can he stop the takedowns? Can he take the shots from Khamzat? Because he's got knockout power as well. He's not just a wrestler.
Luke Thomas approaches this from a completely different angle that actually makes a lot of sense. He's looking at what makes a fight matter right now in the current landscape, not just who technically deserves it on paper. Sure, someone like Imavov probably earned the shot based on wins and rankings, but this fight has more behind it. More storyline, more intrigue, real tension between these guys that isn't manufactured by the promotion. And that changes how people see it and how much they care. Then Luke shifts into the technical side and starts pointing at Strickland's style, especially how he defends takedowns with his footwork and positioning. He's not saying Strickland shuts Chimaev down completely, but it gives him a base to survive early and drag things into later rounds where different factors come into play.
Basically agree. I mean, I don't know what the right answer is in this particular equation because somebody's going to get done wrong. And what I mean by that is if they had gone, Danny, with the Imavov fight, okay, did you give it to the guy who done the most work to get the fight? Yes, you did. On the other hand, I think a lot of folks would be saying, well, now what are we going to do with Sean Strickland? And also, are we really going to give up? I mean, there are not that many organic kind of like real feuds in modern MMA or modern UFC. This is an example of one. This is a real feud. The guys used to train together. They have real bad blood. I agree with you. I think that that media week is just going to be ignorant.
Here's where Luke's analysis gets really interesting. He brings up the betting odds and that gap between them. You can tell he's not buying that it's as one-sided as the numbers suggest. He still expects Chimaev to be the favorite. That makes sense. But he questions how clean that win would actually look when it's all said and done. His main point is that Strickland isn't an easy style to deal with if the first phase doesn't go Chimaev's way. If Chimaev can't get the early finish or dominant control, this could get messy and uncomfortable for both guys. And that's where it becomes really interesting to watch and analyze, because messy fights are where upsets happen.
Dude, because I'd be curious to know. I would imagine, Danny, that a guy like Chimaev is going to be the favorite, no matter if it's Imavov or if it's Strickland. But the other problem here is that, like, dude, Strickland's takedown defense, not for nothing, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And again, is that enough to beat Chimaev? Let's see, what do the odds say?
From our friends at DraftKings, Chimaev minus 410, Strickland plus 320.
Okay. They don't have it that competitive, but this is the problem. This is the problem. I don't think Imavov is more competitive relative to Strickland.
Danny Segura made one of the boldest statements in this whole debate. He openly said this is the better fight to make, even if it skips the more deserving guy in the rankings. But he doesn't stop there. He actually explains why it works better from a matchup perspective. If you're choosing what to watch as a fan, this is what people will pay for because it feels bigger and more engaging. Then he connects that to Strickland being the more interesting threat to Chimaev, not just personality-wise with the trash talk, but inside the cage too. And here's his strongest claim. Usually when you skip rankings and bypass contenders, you lose quality in the actual fight itself. But here you don't. You actually gain it. In his view, Strickland creates a tougher and more complete challenge for Chimaev compared to what Imavov would bring.
One of those odd cases where merit-wise, I mean, there's no arguing that Nasruddin Imavov deserves the opportunity, but the better fight is Strickland. And if, you know, as a customer, as a fan, just putting my journalist role aside, looking at the fight, like if I had to pay, and again, we're not in pay-per-view era anymore, but if I had to pay $50 to watch Strickland versus Khamzat, or Strickland versus, or Khamzat versus Imavov, I'm paying for the Strickland Khamzat fight. I do think the buildup is going to be a lot more interesting, even though it might get a little weird in some territories. But the fight is interesting. I do think Strickland poses the more interesting threats, and this is all around the bigger fight. And in an era where the UFC has been pretty shitty and the product has been...
James Lynch focused on the business side and what went into the UFC's decision-making process. Even though Nassourdine Imavov deserved the shot more based on rankings, the UFC looked at the bigger picture. Chimaev and Strickland have history from training together, plus plenty of back and forth publicly. The build-up sells itself. When it came to predictions, Lynch leaned toward Chimaev winning mainly because of that suffocating pressure and wrestling. But he acknowledged Strickland has pulled off surprises before, like shocking the world against Israel Adesanya. The way Lynch explained it, Chimaev's ability to keep forcing takedowns could slowly wear Strickland down and break his will over 5 rounds. So there you have it, the most split opinion fight in recent memory, with legitimate experts on both sides making compelling cases. This really comes down to who can force their game first and keep it there. If Chimaev gets early takedowns and controls the pace, it could look dominant fast. But if Strickland keeps getting back up and drags it into later rounds where cardio becomes a factor, that's where everything changes. One small moment, one adjustment, one scramble could flip this entire fight. So here's my question for you, drop it in the comments. Who do you think wins this fight, and how do you see it playing out round by round? If this breakdown helped you understand what's really at stake here, smash that like button, subscribe for more fight breakdowns, and hit that notification bell because this division is about to get shaken up. I'll see you in the next one.